Happy New Year's Eve. I hope you're enjoying time with your family or by yourself as you prepare for Christmas and the new year that is ahead of us. Now, before we begin, I want you to pause for a moment. This episode is not meant to be consumed on the go like a background noise while you're taking a walk. It's meant to be felt. It's meant to be reflected on. It's meant to be prayed through. Today, I'm not talking about goals or hustle or productivity, which you will hear a lot of that now around this time of the year. But I'm inviting you into what I like to call a CEO retreat with God. As leaders, we are often taught to prepare for a new year by pushing harder, setting bigger goals, and doing more. But as a faith led professional, especially those building service based businesses, preparation looks different for us because we're building with God. It starts with alignment, it starts with listening. So for me, as I close out this year and prepare for the next year, I've made 5 intentional decisions that are shaping not just what I would do in my business, but who I will become as a leader in my business. And I want to share those 5 decisions with you today, not as a checklist, but as an invitation to slow down, reflect on God's goodness, and realign with His word and His will, and step into the next season with clarity, peace, instead of pressure. There's a lot of pressure around this time of the year. So if you can, take a deep breath, let it out, grab a journal, and let's enter this CEO retreat with God together. Welcome to Start That Business podcast, where I help Christian moms working a corporate job launch their first coaching and consulting business from scratch without quitting their jobs yet. If that sounds like you, you are in the right place. My name is Chichi Okomadu. I am a Jesus follower, a service-based entrepreneur for 13 years, a wife, a mom of 3, and a Christian business coach. I knew I was called to start a business, but I struggled with lack of clarity, self-doubt, and the fear of being a public failure. My lack of courage kept me stuck until I traded it for faith and obedience to God's calling. You don't have to stay stuck in fear, doubt, or lack of clarity. God has already equipped you to launch the business He has placed in your heart. It's time to partner with God and start your business. Your expertise is needed, your calling is real, and I'm here to help you make it a reality. One of the things I enjoy the most as someone building a service-based business with God at the center is being able to retreat and spend time with God. And I noticed that once I get into December, I start yearning to be quiet, to listen to His voice and what He's saying for the new year. I don't know if that happens to you, but once I hit November, December, I tend to want to be more quiet and just lean into Him and say, what are we doing for the new year? And this year, that's how I am preparing for the new year. I'm being even more intentional this year. I'm not preparing for the new year with more goals, more pressure, more hustle. I'm preparing by retreating with God, saying, God, okay, let's sit down. Let's go over this year. And if you're hearing about the concept of a CEO retreat for the first time, think of it like a personal retreat, but one where you're intentionally inviting God into your space and you're reflecting, you're realigning, you're evaluating, you're setting a direction for the new year. And you're doing it as a CEO of a business. So that's just the difference. So when you're preparing for the new year as one who is building with God, That preparation is not just a preparation for the new year, but it's stewardship. You're taking what He has entrusted in your hands and you're saying, God, I'm bringing it back to you. What do you want us to do in the new year? What do you want to accomplish through this business in the new year? You're not striving, you're not trying to copy what other people are doing, but you're intentionally making God your guide and you're following His lead in your business. So I want you to treat this episode like a guided reflection, not just something you consume passively, maybe while you're taking a walk or you're driving, but something where you sit in your closet, you have a journal, and this is like a guided reflection to help you prepare for the new year. Here are 5 decisions I'm making to close out the year and prepare for the next year. Now, these are decisions I believe every faith-led business owner needs to make as well as they prepare for the new year. The first decision I'm making is to reflect. Yes. And what am I doing when I'm making that decision? I'm making the decision to reflect and acknowledge God's goodness and what was accomplished. So I'm reflecting on God's faithfulness in 2025. Even in my unfinished goals, even in the things that I was able to accomplish, the things I wasn't able to accomplish, I'm reflecting on God's faithfulness. I'm naming my wins beyond revenue, my obedience. How many times did I listen to His voice when He prompted me to do certain things concerning my business or other areas of my life? I'm looking at my growth. How did I grow this year? I'm looking at my courage. What are the things I stepped out to do boldly this year, even when I didn't have all the clarity that I needed? How did I grow in my capacity? I'm reflecting on all these things and I'm looking at them because there's always the tendency to overlook progress because we're already thinking ahead. We're already thinking about next year. So we want to rush through this and just jump into 2026 and start listing goals. But no, I invite you to reflect with these questions, and you can add more questions to this. Where did I see God's hand this year? Where did I see His hand in my business? Where did I see His hand in different areas of my life, my family, my health, my relationships? What did I accomplish that I didn't think I could? For me, there were so many things I didn't think I could accomplish. Even recording podcasts this year, because this year it started a bit turbulent for me and I didn't know if I was going to make it through even recording to December. So that is something that I accomplished that I am reflecting on and I'm grateful for. What am I grateful for? Even if the year didn't go as planned, even if there are some things that I did not get to do, what am I grateful for? I just told you that I'm grateful that I'm able to record my podcast up to December. It seemed impossible when the year started for me. So there's a scripture that says, I think is it in Psalm 103, it says, forget not His benefits, forget not the things He has done. So as the year is closing, make this same decision to reflect on God's goodness, to reflect on what you accomplished in the different areas of your business, in the different areas of your life. The second decision that I'm making as I prepare for the new year is the decision to realign. Yes, this one is very important because as people of faith, as people who are building God-led businesses or building businesses with God at the center, we have to constantly realign with our source. God is our source. His mind is our source. His wisdom is our source. He's the one leading. He is the invincible CEO that nobody else sees, but we know He's there behind the scene. We are the visible image of Him leading the business. So it's very important to realign. So for me, what does realignment look like? I am making the decision to surrender my beliefs, to surrender my desires, to surrender my plans, to surrender my direction back to God and saying, God, I acknowledge that you are my source. You are the one leading me through this business, and I'm realigning back. So I'm choosing alignment over ambition. Instead of chasing timelines, instead of measuring my worth by my output, by my revenue, instead of adopting worldly definitions of success, I'm realigning myself. I'm asking questions like, what negative beliefs have I unknowingly partnered with this year? Now going into the new year, where did fear, comparison, or control replace my trust in God? I'm realigning myself. I'm realigning myself with God's word. What is His word telling me in this season? What is His will for me as I go into the new year? What is His purpose? What was the reason He had me set up this business in the first place? I am realigning myself to those things so that from that place of realignment, the goals for 2026 can come from that place of realignment and not from a place of selfish ambition or personal ambition, but a place of alignment with the one who is leading and guiding me in this business. I'm praying prayers like, Lord, let your desires become my desires for 2026. Let your desires become my desires. Let your goals become my goals. Let your plans become my plans so that I am in alignment as I create my goals and I move on. So once alignment is restored, then we can now evaluate with clarity instead of emotion. Then we are now ready to start looking at what the new year is like. When you're also making that decision to realign, you're looking at the things you did that were out of alignment. Maybe the things you did out of peer pressure, or the things you did out of what other people were doing based on what you saw. I'm also looking at that as I make the decision to realign. The third decision I'm making as I prepare for the new year is to reevaluate. Yes. And what I'm doing in this third decision is I'm discerning what worked and what didn't. I'm looking at the numbers. So this is where I look at my numbers. This is where I look at my strategy. I look at my offers. I look at my system. I look at my structure. I look at my revenue numbers. I look at my marketing. I look at my podcast. I'm breaking my evaluation into these different areas. And when I evaluate, I'm not doing it from a place of shame or self-judgment. I'm doing it from a place of observation. Like my mentor will always say, you observe and you don't judge. So I'm observing what worked this year. What podcast episode resonated with my audience this year? What podcast episode had the most downloads this year? What social media posts were most engaging this year? I'm looking at all these things and I am evaluating what worked, what didn't work. In terms of my capacity, I'm looking at my energy, I'm looking at my time, I'm looking at my seasons. I'm asking myself, what worked? What were the days I was able to show up confident, show up bold, show up with so much energy? Where were the days I struggled? I'm looking at my obedience. What were the things God asked me to do this year in my business that I did, and what were the things I avoided? So I'm evaluating all these things. I'm looking at my marketing channels. Which one of them brought in the most leads and converted the most? I'm evaluating from a place of observation and not from a place of judgment. I'm asking myself questions like, what produced fruit this year? What drained me this year? What looked good but wasn't God-led this year? What was based from a comparison or what I saw other people doing and I started doing it? So I'm looking at all these things and I'm reevaluating. I'm looking at my scorecard, like those in corporate will say, you're looking at your scorecard. How did I do this year? I'm going into the numbers and I'm evaluating all these things so that I know where I stand as I go into the new year. Now, the fourth decision I'm making as I prepare for the new year is to refocus. So I started with reflecting, then I realigned myself, then I reevaluated. Now I'm refocusing. In this place of refocusing, I'm seeking God's vision for who He wants me to become in the new year as it regards to my business, what He wants to do through my business. So I'm refocusing. I'm refocusing myself. I'm saying, okay, God, what is your vision for this business for 2026? Who do you want me to become as a CEO? Who do you want me to become as a business owner? Who do you want to become as a person, as a mom, as a wife? Who do you want me to become? What do you want to do through this business in 2026? So I'm shifting my focus from just what I want to achieve to who does God want me to become? Because God is always interested about what we become, about who we become before what we accomplish, because He is so passionate about character development. So He always wants you to become the person that can handle the lesson that He's giving you. So some of the questions I'm asking myself is, what is God's plan for my business next year? What kind of leader does He want me to grow into next year? What assignment is He inviting me into? So, this decision to refocus is what differentiates setting goals for God. When I write things and say, okay, God, these are the goals I want to accomplish, versus receiving goals from God. So, when I'm refocusing, I am refocusing so that I can receive my goals from God because He is my source. He's the leader of this business. Like I say, He's the invincible CEO of this business. So I'm refocusing, seeking His vision so that I can receive the goals that He has for my business in 2026. Because when I receive those goals, I'm in alignment and I can pursue it knowing that I have His backing to achieve those goals. So once my direction is clear, when I'm refocusing, I'm setting my direction for the new year. Once my direction is clear, God often gives me something to hold on to. He's like, okay, these are the goals. As I'm recording this episode, I already know the goals God has set on my heart for 2026. He's saying, this is what I want you to focus on your business. I want you to nail this. I want you to focus on this first quarter. So I'm receiving goals from Him. It doesn't mean I can't set goals, but I would rather receive goals from God, goals that are in alignment with His vision for me for the new year, than just setting goals and asking Him to bless those goals. Now, the fifth decision I'm making as I prepare for the new year is to relaunch, because every year is an opportunity to launch again. Every year is an opportunity to start again, to begin again. So relaunch means you're starting again. We're starting this new year, so I'm making that decision to relaunch. And as I'm relaunching, I'm asking God, what is your word? What is one word that you're giving me for the new year? What is the word I'm anchoring the direction you gave me, the goals you gave me on as I go into the new year? I call it my one word for the year. That's the word I use to launch into the new year. I read this book called One Word That Will Change Your Life, I think in 2002 or maybe prior to that. And every year since 2002, I always start the new year by asking God, what is the one word you want me to anchor everything that I do this year on? And without fail, He has always given me one word. In 2022, my word was courageous. In 2023, my word was transformation. In 2024, my word was create. In 2025, my word is surrender. And I already have my word for 2026. So this word is what I use to launch into the new year. I use it not as a theme for aesthetics, but a filter for my decisions, a reminder for moments when I'm in doubt. So I'm asking God, what word do you want me to hold on to this year? As this new year starts, what one word do you want me to hold on to? How should I move, build, and respond in this next season as I'm relaunching into this new year? Because the things that worked in 2025 might not work in 2026. So I'm receiving a new matching order for 2026. And as I get this one word, I use it in decision making. I use it in setting boundaries. I use it in my leadership. This one word becomes my anchor that everything else I'm doing, my goals, my everything I'm doing in my business and in my life is anchored on. Like I told you, my word for 2025 was surrender. This year was a year of surrendering so many things. And I'm going to talk more about it in my next episode. I will share one of the major things I surrendered this year. You don't want to miss that episode. It's going to be epic. So let's recap real quick. What are the 5 decisions that I'm making as I prepare for the new year? The first is to reflect. The second is to realign. The third is to reevaluate. The fourth is to refocus. And the fifth is to relaunch. As we come to the end of this year, I want to leave you with this truth. You don't need more time, more discipline, more hustle to prepare for what's next. You need alignment. You need a time just spent reflecting, realigning, reevaluating, refocusing so that you can relaunch with God in the new year. This is the most powerful way to prepare for a new year. Instead of striving to do more, instead of striving or going straight to trying to set goals, it's by surrendering your plans, your expectations, even your fears back to God and allowing Him to lead you as you go into this new year. I pray that this episode will give you that quiet reflection prompt you need to be still with God and prepare for the new year. Until next time, remember that preparation isn't about perfection. It's about positioning yourself to hear God clearly and responding in obedience. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something new and you were encouraged to take action. If so, will you stop right now and share this episode with someone so they can get the help you just got? I would also love it if you can leave a review for this podcast on Apple Podcast or the podcast app you're using to listen. This is the number one way I know you're getting value from the content on this podcast. Until next time, always remember you have all you need to start that business. So keep listening for more episodes. I'll meet you here next week.